Okay, we're gonna get back on this motor. It's been a couple days. Get busy on other stuff again, as usual. So we're gonna do put the push rods in it. So we get all those down here. Get our push rods and our push rod covers. So we can go ahead and get this ready to go together. So first thing I'm gonna do is figure out where we're at on the motor, so we know where to put the push rods in at to adjust them. Don't get the generator in the way. So we have to be able to turn the motor over first thing. So I left it open here so I can do that on this side. Makes it easier. I'm doing my breaker bar. There it is. Thought I kept the breaker somewhere. So here's a breaker bar right here. So normally what you do on the motor when you're trying to find out where to adjust the valves is I like doing it where we're on top dead center on the compression stroke, so the piston's all the way up. And when you turn the motor over, you put your finger over here and you can feel the air blowing up on it. You can see the piston's right here, so this one's at top dead center, pretty close already. So you adjust the valves when you got compression on top dead center. Now you don't have any push rods in the motor like this one. Every time these pistons come up, you're on compression stroke because the valves aren't in the system yet. In the real world, the push rods are in here. You only have compression every other time around. Right now we're going to have it every time because there's no valves. The valves are closed. So when the two valves are open, you're on the overlap stroke, and when two valves are closed, you're on the compression stroke. Right now I don't know which one I'm on, so we have to determine which one we're on. So you take the wrench, put it over here, you rotate it, alright, going like that, and you look at the lifters. So see how the front ones are moving up and down? See how the back ones back here are not moving? So this is on the overlap stroke. That means both valves are open right now. That's why they're going like that. These are both closed, so we're on compression stroke on this motor in the back. So that means we're going to put the back ones in first. So now all you do is put our screwdriver up in here, figure where we're at. Phillips. Now you want to use a Phillips screwdriver because if you use a straight blade screwdriver, if you bend this, it pops off, and then you got that piece of metal inside your motor. Not very good. When you bend this, they tend to not break there. They tend to bend back in here, and you don't break them off. But you can still break them, so don't be stupid. Now when you put your screwdriver in there, don't leave it like that. It'll bend it because you're sitting flat like that. Hold it up as far as you can, straight up and down. That way when the piston goes up, you can tell where you're at. So we know we're pretty far up because it's so far out of the hole right now. But we're going to double check just to make sure. So now we're all the way up. See it's moving? When you're down here, see it was moving. If you go too far, you just come back and forth until you find the spot you want. Now you can be high gear on the bike and roll the bike back and forth, and that works too. You don't have access to turn your motor over. If you're using a kicker to do it and you feel the screwdriver start to drop a little bit, if you only drop just a little bit, you're okay. If it drops about ½ an inch to an inch, then you're screwed. You have to go back around 2 turns until it comes back up again. Once again, put your finger over the hole. When you feel compression coming out, you know you're top dead center. So on this one here, as you back up, you get a suction. And then see suction. You go forward, you blow. See? Suction, blow. So blowing, we know we're about right there is where it should be top dead center. Just your screwdriver in there. See how close you are. And we missed it about a little bit. So there we are. We're back at top dead center on compression stroke. And now we go over here and we can put the valves in, or push rods in, excuse me. So on this motor we got solo lifters. We got a ½ inch adjuster with a 7/16 lock nut. So you get the 2 wrenches for doing that. Okay, those both move. Good. Okay, first thing you want to do is make sure you got your seals in here, top and bottom. They are both in there. We've already got our new covers and we got them loaded, so we got our seal right in here, like it belongs. So you got a spring, a little washer, and a seal. The push rod cover, you got a tapered side and a flat side. Tapered side goes against the cork here, like that. The flats are on the bottom and on the top, on the cork style. On the O-ring style, you have a lip sticking up on the 2 sides. Okay, we already made sure the push rods are good. They're straight. We rolled them on the bench earlier. They don't wobble. You make sure your tips are nice and smooth and round and not rusted or uneven. If they feel like they're rough or uneven, don't use them. So that's all good to go. So I take a little bit of oil, put it inside the adjuster here. Both. So we put oil in the cup right there. See, these have no oil in them. These two are put oil in them, see? So now we just take our push rod, dip it in there, and then we stick it up in the top. That lubricates our cup. Because the rocker arm up in there has a hole that needs to be lubricated also. So pretty straightforward. A little bit closer, you can see better. So it doesn't matter which one you do, I adjust them both when they're at top dead center. I do it here because when the motor fires, I want both valves to be closed. I don't care about whatever else around is. Okay, these are the same on either side, so it doesn't matter which way you go. So you just put them in there, lubricate the tip, put it inside of there, stick it up in the hole, run the cross. If you're lucky, it goes in there where you can get to it. If not, you have to force it. And just adjust the lifter, the adjuster up. Still see we got movement up and down here. So keep adjusting until it goes away. And I use these push rod tube cover holders. Go like that, makes it a little easier. You want to make sure that your push rod is up in the rocker arm and hold it up there. Adjusters get hard to adjust. Okay, so right now we're at 0. So I go ahead and give it a little torque on it, like that. Hopefully that's enough to hold tension to hold it so I can undo the jam nut now. Run the jam nut all the way down. Now these lifters here have a split jam nut with a taper on them. So if you look at it, there's a taper on the end of the nut. It has a split right here. The lifter has a taper in it also. So when you tighten the nut down, it collapses onto the thread and jams it solid, as well as mechanically jams the two pieces together. So it gives you a double holding power. The aftermarket push rods for new bikes, they do not have that feature. They're just flat. So they don't hold it anywhere near as good as these old motors do. Okay. So, just put a little tension on that, see where we're at. You try to move the push rod, see if it'll move. If it won't move, it's tight. So now we loosen it up a little bit. Now it moves, see? So, see how it moves pretty easy right now? I still have tension right now on the jam nut. So if you back it up just a little bit, see how this is not moving right now? It's because it's tight now. It's got drag on it. And you want to tighten both of these together to adjust. Got to put tension on everything a lot tighter. See how it moves more easy now? It's basically loose right now. Now you can adjust them for a free spin. That means there's no drag spin in it, like I am right now. Or you can adjust them for light drag. See right now it moves real easy. That's no drag. If you have light drag, you can feel the high spots as you rotate it, and you do it that way. So this one right now we're free. Now when you adjust these things, right now the nut's kind of tight, not super tight. So the way you tighten up your push rod is you blow this up a little bigger for you. You work as a pair, so you push them both together like that, and you give a little extra on the adjuster, which tightens it, tightens the push rod. Then you tighten everything down and lock everything here. You go like that. They're tight, and then you give it a little yank with both. That jams everything solid. You come back and see where you're at. Right now we're on a free spin again, so we go back and do it again. can tighten them together more than you can individually. So loosen, tighten, and then tighten the piss out of it. So we're still loose. There's no up and down, but it's still loose. So you've got to keep doing this over and over and over until it's correct. So loosen, tighten the push rod, and then tighten everything up. Okay, we have drag on that now. Okay, now I got a drag. I can rotate it with my fingers, but it's got drag on it. So drop that down a little lower, you might be able to see better. So it rotates, but it's got drag. It's more drag than you want. So if you want to adjust it correctly, you just tighten the screw even more. Just a little bit more. I only moved about the wrench about maybe this far. Okay, now the push rod has light drag on it, but it moves. I can roll it with my finger, but it has drag on it. So that's where you would adjust it if it was freshly broken in. If the motor was all broken in, that's how you adjust it cold. Now this is a brand new motor, so it's going to make it's going to have a lot of adjustment on this motor. You know, things are going to move around a lot, the clearances. So I give them one flat clearance. See, right now the flat is like right here. I move it one flat, which is 1/6 of a turn for clearance. I always do that on a fresh motor. So I have to loosen it up. See where the flat is at. Flat is about there, and then tighten it up. So now we're good and loose. You can't hear clearance because I got the oil and everything, but there's clearance in it. So now when you start this motor up, you're going to have probably 2 or 3 startups before you have to adjust the valves. That's where you start it running for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, do all your adjustments, get things, check out your oil and all that when you first start it. And then after you adjust the carburetor a little bit, shut it down, let it cool for 5-10 minutes at least, or whatever you got to do. If you got to adjust the carburetor, take the carburetor apart, do what you got, put it back together, start it up again. You run it for another 5 minutes or so because it's already got some heat in it. And make sure your adjustments you did were good. And you shut it off again, let it cool off for about 15 minutes. Let it cool down fairly decently. Not dead cold, but you can definitely hold your hand out with no problem. Then you start up again, do it again, run a little bit more, make sure everything's like it's good to go. Then you shut off, let it cool all the way down, or just about all the way down. Then you check your adjustment. You want to make sure the valves are loose, but not tight. Then you can take the bike out and ride it after that. And then you come back after about 5 or 10 miles and you adjust the valves again. It has to be done full cold at that point. Then you're good for about another 20 miles, do it again. And after that, they're usually pretty stabilized. Then you go through your braking procedure and you should be fine. But anyway, that's how you do it. So, all right, so this one here, we're just going to do the same thing, except we're not going to do the full adjustment on it. We're just going to lube it. Stick it up in the top in there. See how this one does not want to go in there? So you can either force in there, you can put a little pair of needle nose over it. You can wedge it up in there you want. In this case, this one can adjust down a little bit further than where it is right now, so I'm just going to adjust it down. We're running out of adjustment, it just fit in there. It's starting to get tight all the way down right now. So we had about another probably go about another quarter of a turn before I would lock up, but then I have to pop it in by force. Now the reason they don't go together is because the push rods are too long, the valves are sunk in the head too far, things like that happen. Or you're on the overlap stroke and not on the compression stroke. That does it too. Okay, so now we got this one in here. So we're going to tighten that up a little bit. Try to get this jam nut to come down. These are brand new lifters, so the threads work halfway decent on them. Okay, the valve got loose there. So let me see where I'm at, because I don't know right now. Okay, we're tight there, so we need to adjust it more. Okay, so loosen up. Go an extra flat and then tighten. Come back and get another bite at it. And tighten more. There we go. Okay, now we got at least one flat of clearance in there. Everything being nice and fresh, you don't feel any movement, but it's loose. Okay, so those are good. Okay, now we got to turn the motor over one turn, get compression on the other side, and go top dead center. Now, as you turn this motor over the first time, you want to make sure that the valves go through without any hitting each other, any tink noise, anything important like that. So let's go ahead and just turn the motor over and get the valves to go. So we'll put some indicators of what's going on right there. You can see those move up and down. Okay, that one's going up. No hit yet. The overlap's where things are really going to happen. So now we're going down. See how the other ones are both moving right now? So that's about top dead center. There's no hitting or anything over here. You know, any kind of a binding or a click noise, that means the valves hit each other already. So there you go. It's very easy to bend the valve and break a guide on the overlap stroke. Okay, so now we're back around. That one's all the way down now. There's top dead center. So we're back on where we started. So see how the push rods are moving around a little bit now and we squished the oil out and everything else. So you can see I can move the push rod side to side a little bit. That's because it's really loose. There's also some up and down. I don't know if you can see it, but not much, a little bit. Okay, so we just checked that. That all looks good. So I go ahead and do the other cylinder. So same deal, we're going to move it around. I'll put them up here, you can see better up here. That one goes up. Okay, that one's going down. So I'm going to go in the front cellar because we're on a compression stroke over here now. If you look at these lifters, they're not moving. Okay, we're top dead center over there with the screwdriver. So now it's ready to adjust these two valves. Okay, corks are up in the rocker box up in there. We're good. Okay, it's a little bit easier to adjust this one before this one, so I'm going to do this one here first. Oh, forgot the oil. Pre-lubed. Okay, that one just fell right in. We're not fighting that valve over there. So make sure the lifter is up. Yeah, lifter. Make sure the push rod's up inside the rocker. That'll be in the middle position. If it's off to one side and it's not where you need to be. As you take the clearance up, just keep wobbling until it goes up, quits moving. So we're at 0 on this one right now. There. Tighten it up a little bit. Yep. Camlet's loosened up. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but try a little closer, might help, I don't know. It's hard to watch what's videotaping while I'm working. Okay, so a little tension on that. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, now you got a little bit of tension on that, you can adjust the screw a little bit. Okay, we got loose right there. So look where the flat is at. Go about half a flat that way. And I'm going to tighten it for another half a flat. There we go. It's tight. little wobble wobble on that. Good to go. I don't know if you can see it wobbling, it's there. Now when I'm rotating the whole motor, you know I got torque on the push rod. That's how you tell. Until it's not fake torque. We don't do fake stuff around here. That one doesn't want to go up. High spot there. Break it free. The threads are not friendly with each other yet. That means there's high spots that make them tight. Go through the one high spot, you get another full turn before it gets tight again. Yep, and through that spot. There it goes. Now it's going all the way up. Should have push rods up in there where it belongs. Seems to be good. Break the nut free. Probably in a bad spot to see there in a bit. A little better. And the adjuster down. Torque there, that's tight. Still tight. There we go. Okay, there's our 0 point. So one flat's there. Go about half a flat. About 3/4 flat because I got nut pressure on the nut. Okay, now we go ahead and jam this thing in there tight. That way. More tight. Okay, that took up quite a bit of movement. I went about 2 turns, or 2 flats, jamming it all together. So now I'm going to go ahead and unscrew it a little bit until I get up to where it's tight. Okay, there's 0. Okay, there's our clearance right there. So that's basically our 0 point. Give it about that much. So we got about half a flat of tightness. Now we'll go ahead and loosen it up, or tighten it up this way. Pretty tight. It's got about a flat and a half looseness on that. It's all right. When those parts all jam together, they get really, they take up a lot of slack. So, all right, we'll leave it. That was a little bit loose, but it's all right. It's better to be a little loose and tight on these things. Okay, now we're going to turn the motor over again and see what we got. See that or not. See how they're moving up there? Music's going through no problem. Seems to be pretty good. Okay. So push rods are adjusted now. At least for the first time. Okay, now I gotta put the covers on here. The clips. These are the push rod cover clips. So the easiest way to put these on there is with a screwdriver. Excuse me. So we got small, medium, and large. 3 different sizes. Okay, on the clip. When you leverage it in, if you have a small screwdriver, it tends to want to bend it or tear the metal here and rip it. Too small. You put the big one in there, it's so wide, it hits way on the outside edge, it takes a lot more height compression before it goes in, and it tends to want to flatten the cover out a little bit also. If you use the medium sized one, it hits more on the top curve here, it slides in a lot better, and it's wide enough it doesn't want to tear anything. So I like the medium screwdriver, works the best. So all you do is you take the cover, get behind there, get the inner one, push the inner one all the way up. Make sure it's up in the box as far as it'll go. Make sure your bottom's still in. This here compresses down, obviously. You take the cover, lay it up in there, hit the top. Take your screwdriver, lay it across the top of the inner one. And as you leverage it up, you push with your thumb, and see it collapses the spring there. And it goes in. Then, very important, take both pieces and rotate them as a unit. And you can feel as it drops down in the holes in here. You want to make sure it drops down in the holes here and up inside the rocker box up in here. So when you twist it, it will center itself up and you can feel it hitting against the cork on both sides. That's what you want it to be. If things aren't in there correctly, it'll go pop, bang up in there, or drop in, or you'll feel something really metallically grinding, then it's not in all the way. There's something wrong. We'll find out what the problem is. If you don't put this inner one up in there, then it leaks really, really bad. So you're using this just a leverage tool here. Now if it's in there, you just pop it out. So you're trying to run the whole thing as assembly, that way top and bottoms get done at once. Okay, that's how that one's done. Okay, now you can either leave the push rods open so you can see them going up and down, which will help us on timing, or you can put them on there and just deal with a screwdriver on the other side. So, whichever way you want to do it, it works, but it's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and leave it out so you can see better. Me, it doesn't matter which way it goes. I work good both ways. Alright, so let me get some more tools. We'll be right back.